Dream.
Let me check mine. I think we are too.
This is fancy. We real fancy right now. Real fancy.
Yes, we are
Yes,
live.
yes, we are. Awesome. This is fancy. We real fancy right
Oh.
now. Okay. So here we are. Hello. For those of y'all watching, I am Chane Carter. I am the founder of Empower Financial Planning. And I thought we had such a good time a couple of weeks ago that I was going to do this again. So, Nisha, will you introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, yes, we had an awesome time the last time. And I'm like super excited that you invited me on tonight because I had no intentions on going live, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm down for it. So so I'm Nisha Richardson, financial coach, also known as She's the Budget Guru. And but even though She's the Budget Guru is my name, I like to call spending plans versus budget because I don't want to make people cringe. But yes, that is me. That is what I do. So I love talking about money.
Okay, so we a couple of weeks ago we went live, and let's start with the very important things that have to be. We go live with beverages, and so we want to invite you to have a beverage with us as we talk about money.
Yes.
Um, so last time we talked, I don't feel like I got enough background on how you got to where you are and how you got to the place where you want to help people with their money. So that's what I'd like to learn while I sip on my little drink.
Okay. So first let me because I wasn't always like someone who educated other people on finances, even though it was something that I did very well for myself. But last year, no, 2 years ago, I was introduced to an organization called MWR Financial, and it's a home based business opportunity. And initially, I got into it for, the additional income. But as I got into the community and we were being educated on finances and all these different things that I was never exposed to outside of just like your standard, check and balance, have a budget, those types of things. I'm like, oh my goodness, like there's a whole nother world that I have never experienced that is out here, and I need to know these things. So as I started learning, I saw that there was a need for other people to be learning this information. And I saw how people were like really struggling with their money. And sometimes it wasn't, a lot of it is because there was no financial literacy, right? So you only know what you know. You only know what you are exposed to. So if no one is educating you on certain things, you're never going to find out or even know where to look for that
Right,
information.
right.
Um, I am a natural teacher, trainer. So I'm like, this is what I should be doing. And I also have seen just growing up different ways that people manage money and some of the things that stop them from going to the next level or that get in the way of them doing great for themselves because sometimes people are trying to help everyone except for themselves, which in turn turns into like some whole
A
other
mess,
thing because
a
yeah.
whole mess, a whole mess.
Yeah, so that is how I got into the financial space. Again, I've always done financial things for myself, whether it's jobs or just my own personal experiences. But just being exposed to that other side of wealth and the things that we're not educated on really got me excited about the subject and just maybe want to learn more and help more people.
Okay, that's deep. That's deep. That's deep. Okay, so I got one more thing. I got a whole bunch to say, but the first thing I want to say is that I feel like people, I'll just say people, think that if we're in the same business or we have the same focus, we're in competition, right? Like,
Mm-mm.
and so when I met you, we met online, but when I met you, like none of that vibe, none of that. Um, we need to be competing because I feel like like I know that we have a whole world of people that need help,
Mm-hmm.
and there's you and I do similar things, but we're trying to help people. So I think like I just want to get that out the way.
Yes. And the other thing is there is things that you know that I don't know.
And vice versa. So
Right.
that's kind of a thing. So that's another thing that I noticed about you. Like I went to your website, I did all the things, and I'm looking at how you kind of interact with people one on one. And that was never, first of all, I'm an introvert. So if I have to talk to you, it's like, oh, I got to get my mind right to like, oh, we're gonna talk for a long time, one on one.
More
That's
than
gonna be
5 minutes.
for more than 5 minutes. You can't just send me an email. Okay, then. Okay, then that's fine. But so I saw how you kind of one on one kind of go. So tell me a little bit about how you deal or how you work with clients.
Yes, so I prefer one-on-one, and actually that is my personality. So I didn't really know that, even though I'm also an introvert. So I get a lot of my energy back by being alone. So I can totally connect with you on that. But whatever. So either way, I learned that I do better one-on-one with people or in very small groups. And I learned that from once I started working with my coach. She did like this personality test, and I'm a projector, which means I am someone who needs an invitation from people before I feel comfortable with
Comfortable. Okay, that
approaching
makes
them.
sense. I
Um,
could dig that.
and yes, and I'm also like I thrive on like the intimate connection. So that one-on-one works very well for me. And also I feel like when you're talking to people about their money, they need that one-on-one time. They need that space where they can be completely transparent and not feel like they have to hold anything back because other people are hearing their money stuff. We get embarrassed, or we think that we're the only ones that's going through whatever we're going through. So sometimes people are apprehensive to share. But I also understand the benefit of having that group coaching environment, because you need that support. You need other people to hold you accountable. You need to also see that people are experiencing a lot of the same things that you're experiencing. And again, you're not in this alone.
Right.
So yeah, so I
So
love
there's a balance. So
yeah.
that's why I want to empower it. For me, I was like, we need to get a group of women together. They need to talk because
Mhm.
I do think we're sitting around thinking that we're the only person that doesn't know what an ETF is.
Yeah.
We're the only person that doesn't know between a Roth and a traditional, right? We're the only person that doesn't know these things when factually nobody taught us any of this. Nobody said any of this. And like everybody doesn't know, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm like, how can we tell everybody? Let's tell everybody. let's get in a room and tell everybody.
They have to be willing to listen though,
Okay,
Shanae.
so that's a yeah, right. Okay, so okay, all right. I just want to throw a party and teach everybody at the same time, but I get it. No, like you got to be in a space where you're willing to hear that. But what I
Mhm.
understood was that lots of people are willing to hear it, want
Yeah.
to hear it, want to talk to someone, want to share. And in my groups, we like I try to say what happens in the group stays in the group so that we can say what needs to be said
Mhm.
because we're all doing something. we're all doing something and we
Mhm.
all don't know the things. So if we could talk about it, we could fix it. But I get that there's a whole bunch of shame and whatnot.
Yeah, but I think but what you said is important though, because we're not in this alone and we all have our things. So it doesn't matter how small it may be or how great or grand it may be. It's we all have our things, and or it was something that we went through that may no longer be our thing, but we can connect with
I
someone
want
who
to
is
clap.
going
I wish
through
I
that.
had little things where I could make that. We have all gone through something with our money, right? Like we have
Yes.
all been through a thing. And if
Mhm.
one person would tell another person, don't do that, stop that, don't do that thing,
Mhm.
um, it would be like we don't all have to step in the same pile of it. Like we could
Yeah.
just step over it. It could be okay.
I used to make this. Well, I'm not used to. It probably was like 2 weeks ago, but I made this joke
Okay.
like, I just need to experience it for myself. Like,
No,
I know you told
no,
me it's bad, but let me just touch it a little
no.
bit. So,
Let's not. Let's rush right out and not experience it for ourselves. Like there's so much that other people have done, been
Mhm.
through. Like I was listening to one of your lives and you said something about somebody co-signing for another somebody. And I was like, who is doing that? Who is still doing that? We don't
Not anymore, but I did that a couple of times. And you would have thought I would have learned my lesson after the first time. But no, this
know.
time is going to be different. It wasn't different. And I said never again because for whatever reason, I always get out of situations with, I'm just grateful for having a great life. But it could have really like ruined my finances each time. So it's things like sometimes you didn't get it the first time, so go ahead and do it again so you can really get it. Like,
But let's not say we did.
right? Please
Please
don't.
don't. So
Mm-mm.
anybody listening, particularly younger people, please don't co-sign for anybody for any reason.
Mm-mm.
Not on this cell phone, not on their apartment, not on their nothing.
Nope.
Just let's go ahead and X that out. Okay.
Nope.
So you are your brand is she's the budget guru.
Yes.
So I want to know what you do to help people with their budget. Like what is the process?
Yes. So for me, first I want to get clear on what their goals are. So we have to be working towards something. I don't want to just help you create a spending plan just so that you can have a spending plan. What is the purpose of this? Because that's also going to help them stay on track of whatever we put in place. So I
So
like
hold
to
on,
know.
let me
Yeah.
interrupt you right there
Yep.
because when I'm doing my videos, I always say I want you to know what you make, what you spend, and what you owe, so you can get intentional about your plans and your priorities. If you just have a spending plan and you have no goal, like you have no reason you're doing this, it ends up in nothing. Like like you
Yep.
can have a budget and then what? Like what are you doing with that? So I resonated with that.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. So, we first talk about the goals. What are the goals? What are you going to be celebrating in 3 months or a year, depending on which program, I feel like they're a fit for. And that's what we work towards because I want to develop that plan around that goal so that when they reach those milestones, they have something to celebrate. Because it is so easy to revert back to that comfort zone to where you started if you don't, like you mentioned, don't know what you're doing it for. So if you can say, like, oh, I just saved $100, I haven't saved $100 in a year, that is a celebration and you
That's a
should be
celebration.
celebrating. So we look at the goals, create the plan based on the goals, and then we talk about some of the things that have come up in the past for them or some of the triggers that usually derail them off of their plan, so those
Girl,
money back.
can we talk about these triggers? Can we talk
Yeah.
about it for just a minute? So I this is a story that I heard along the way. Someone spoke to me and said, "Hey, I have a friend who files for bankruptcy, who just filed for bankruptcy." And I was like, "Oh, okay. How did that happen? Like just help me out." Did they have a health issue? Did they have a student loan situation? Did they go through a divorce? It was like, no, no, no. So then how did we get in bankruptcy? Oh, we just spend. Okay, that's fair. It happens. So then what is the plan here? Like if we were to work together, if we were to talk, what would be the plan here? What would we be trying to accomplish? Well, just need a budget, that type of thing. I was like, oh well, no, no. I don't no.
Not gonna work.
Because to me, you have something deeper going on. If you haven't had a calamity, you haven't had a catastrophe, nothing bad has happened, and somehow you ended up in bankruptcy and you don't have a goal, it means that something inside of you is not stopping you from doing the thing that you're doing. And I am not trained in any of that. Like I don't even try it because I feel like some of the patterns that we have, we know. And I feel like once I've shown you what your pattern is, you're spending $1,200 a month at the restaurants and you're buying groceries at the same time. Something's not going on here. What you're not cooking and eating. So what is happening? Like once I show you that, if you've chosen something different, there's literally nothing I can do to stop you from that. But tell me about triggers.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it is like past things that have just happened in life. And it could just be different for everyone. So sometimes it could be that, when you were growing up, you couldn't have new clothes, right? Because money was tight, you had to have hand-me-downs and things like that. So now you're in a place where you can buy yourself the things that you want and the things that you desire. Sometimes people are in like scarcity mode where they feel like if I don't stop buying new shirts and new pants and stuff, there's not going to be any more. So let me just buy it all because I've never had it. And now that I do have the opportunity to have it, I'm just going to keep buying. So it could be some of those things, or it could just be like your parents or the people that raised you was someone that made you feel guilty about either spending or not spending, or they kind of hoarded all of their money. So you feel like I have to hoard all my money or whatever. It could just be all different things. So it's nice to do the exercises and have them answer some questions like such as when you think of people with money, what word do you associate with that? So sometimes it's like snobs, right? Or and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like that's some of the things that could come up, right? Like they're snobby, they're mean, they're greedy, they're selfish, and it's because that's how they envision people with money, right?
Right.
So they may then say like I don't want to be someone that has money because I don't want to be snobby and rude and all those things. I want to be the giving, caring person that I always have been. And everyone who I know who has money is the opposite of that. So I never want to have money. I want to continue with my humble lifestyle where I have just enough, as opposed to think of it in a positive way. Think of some people who are wealthy, who are not that way, who are philanthropists, who are, they are constantly giving to charity and, things like that. So it's really exposing what those thoughts are, and working through that to say like, see, it's not what you think, but it's not something that happens overnight. So it's something that you kind of keep addressing and going back to it, but it's nice when you can expose it and it's like, oh, okay, I understand now. Okay, I think I'm getting it. And then that kind of helps them stick to their plans. Yeah.
I like that. That's deep.
Listen, I like to go deep.
She went all up under your mama and your daddy.
Because if you think about it, like you said, all the spending plans in the world, all the spreadsheets, all the trackers, it's not going to fix the deep-rooted issue. Right. Even if you make more money, yeah, it may be nice. Maybe you need some more income coming in to help. But once you get that, if you still cannot manage it properly, you're going to end up in the same place. You're still going to overspend. So it's just a cycle that you really have to kind of dig into and kind of figure out what's going on. Again, I'm not a therapist or but yeah.
I think I'm just like the opposite of you. I've had a spreadsheet my whole life. Like there has always been a spreadsheet in my life. And I've never really thought about the why behind how I am or what I am or how I deal with money. But as I'm working with people and learning, I realize there's like layers to why people are doing the things that they're doing. And so my class is a lot about the spreadsheets. It's a lot about the numbers. It's a lot about exactly how much you make. What are those dollars going to? Is that where you want them to go to? But it's not so much about why, because in my mind, I always think, well, as soon as you know that this isn't logical, you're not going to do it anymore. I learned that that's not true. Got that. I picked up on that. And I know now that we don't always do what's logical, right? And it's okay. I've decided that it's okay to not do what's logical, but you have to know what you're doing and why. Yeah. And be okay with that decision. So if you're spending outside of your budget, if you are not putting away what you're supposed to be putting away. If you've decided that you're going to take a chunk of money and put it in cryptocurrency, for example, you have to be okay with the logic behind that decision, and you have to understand it. Like I don't want anyone to go into anything thinking, oh, it's okay that I don't get it. I'm just going to do it because my cousin said that this was a great investment. Like it hurts me to my heart to hear that, because I just want everybody to understand the reasons behind, particularly in investing, real estate, crypto, stocks, whatever you're doing, make sure you get it. And if it's illogical, be okay with the illogical, but understand that that's the risky side of what you're doing. So
yeah, I think it's important that we research anything that we're getting into, and you want to be able to understand it enough to where if you had to explain it to someone else, you can explain it. And you don't have to be like the expert, but you know the basics, and you know.
I heard a guy on a podcast. He was like, well, you don't know how a car runs, so you don't need to know how crypto works. Wait, what? What? First of all, the car runs because it has an engine. And wheels and some stuff inside. I got that. Like that's stupid. Like that's stupid. And I'm thinking about, and then like I listen to these different podcasts and things, and I'm thinking, do people listen to this? And that's kind of why I got started. It's because I'm like, are people listening to this and doing what these people are saying? Because you're about to lose all your money. That's stupid. Don't do that.
And unfortunately, that's what people do. They just jump right into something. They're like, oh, well, I was listening to this YouTube video or this podcast, and this is what they said to do. And it's like, okay, but what's going to happen next? Oh, I don't know. They just told me to do it. And
they just told me to take $5,000 and put it in this particular crypto coin and then wait. Okay.
Right.
Did you have $5,000?
They found it.
And that's how did you find And then I'm like, well, I have no problem with anybody investing in crypto at all. If that is one of the layers of your portfolio. If one of your layers is investments with a certain level of risk, and crypto is the investment that you've chosen for risk, then so be it. But if you don't have the basic fundamental, you don't have, you're not in real estate, you don't have any mutual funds, your retirement fund is at zero, you don't have an emergency fund. If you don't have the basics, why are you even talking about crypto? Like that makes me insane. You have basic things that you should be doing, and you're listening to YouTubers and Instagram memes about what to do with your money. That stresses me all the way out.
Take a sip, Sade.
Girl, let me get, because I am that. Let me get this.
You stress y'all. But it is true though, because we really have to take those things seriously. Because if you have $5,000 and you are throwing it into something that you really don't understand, but yet none of your other stuff is in place, that's a problem. Because if you lose that $5,000, what security do you have behind that's going to support you? If that was your last $5,000 in your savings and you have no other way of accessing money, if an emergency pops up or anything, maybe that's not the best thing to do as far as an investment if you're jumping into something and you have no idea what you're doing. Right. So yeah, it's definitely important that we get the basics before
we get to the basics. Can we start on
right?
Just whatever. And I guess I am specifically passionate about crypto because it is a new technology. And new means it's the future. It will turn into something. Yeah. But if you are not in a space where you have covered the basics and you're gambling on the future, I just have concerns about your goals. Like what if you're not you haven't settled the future. You haven't settled your priorities. Then how are you going out into crypto? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just a very and crypto is safer than it was 5 years ago, right?
Right.
So there's a little more stability to it. There are platforms on it now that or for it now that you can do research on the various coins and you can get into it. And the bottom line is if you pick the right coin, you could be a millionaire. Now there's not that many of them, but if you pick the right coin, this could be it for you. We could not even need to do a video anymore, but it's over. But the likelihood of you picking that one coin compared to the likelihood of you investing in real estate or in a business or in stocks and mutual funds, it
Yeah.
just concerns me.
And there, I think baby steps is important. And also having those getting into things that's going to help you with the taxes and the inflation too. So you mentioned business ownership. That's essential when you are looking at reducing your taxes because most of us work a job and that is the highest place that is taking our money with taxes. So if you're just working a job and you have nothing else to help you reduce taxes, most of your paycheck is going to the government.
Unless you're putting it in your retirement.
That too, yes. So yes, you want to be investing in stuff, right? So that you can get those tax deductions in different places. So um, we need to be growing our money. And I'm reading this book called Born to Multiply.
Okay.
And it's by LaShawn Holland. She's a wealth coach and she is actually on Facebook. And I was exposed to her by attending it wasn't a conference, but we'll just say conference just so
Okay.
that people can connect to it. But at the end of last year, and she was one of the speakers, and I was like, oh my goodness, a brown woman talking about money. And I was
Thank
like,
you.
and
Thank
she's
you.
talking about multiplying your money. So I did order her book and I started reading it. And don't even ask me why I do certain things, but I started reading it from the middle because
Because it made sense to you, girl. It made sense to you.
yes, I'm
Right?
actually glad I started in the middle. But yeah, so I can't go to the beginning of the book, but from where I started, she talked a lot about how her clients they come to her and they say, I'm ready to invest. And she asks them, do you have debt? And they're like, yeah. And well, you need to start there first because her philosophy is that um, having your money in all these different places is going to take you longer to get to where you're going. So she and again, I this is from what I've read. So her thing is
From
getting
the
out of
middle of
debt.
the book from
Yeah.
inside.
I'll get back to you from the beginning. Give me a couple of days.
I got you. It's fine. It's fine.
But her whole theory is you need to get out of debt. Get that debt out of the way so then you can put more of your money towards your investing. She also talks about having different savings accounts. So, like if you want to do personal development stuff and different webinars and stuff, saving your money in these different accounts so that you have that money available, kind of like your sinking fund, right? But she calls them different things. But I just lost my train of thought. But she also talks about real estate. She talks about having a business. She talks about potentially Airbnb and vending machines as well as cryptocurrency because she and hedge funds, but some of that stuff you have to be making a lot of money. But I found some of that stuff interesting, and I like to read what other people are doing or how they teach and things like that because I have my way and we all have our own nuances, right?
So that's what I was about to say. So what do you think about let me just say, part of the reason I started this, and I'll just go ahead and say it, is Dave Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
He makes me want to claw my eyes out. Like I just want to pull them off my face. And the reason is I feel like he brings so much shame and so much negativity to personal finance. And so I wanted to bring something different to personal finance, something a little more positive, a little less definitive, because he is strong with the you need to pay off all your debt before you start investing. Like that is his rule.
Mhm.
And let's be clear, the S&P 500 is averaging 11%, and depending on what your credit card rate is, you do better investing than you do paying off the credit card, depending on what your rate is, of course.
Mhm.
But same thing with student loans, depending on your rate. If the S&P 500 beats 10% and you're paying 3% on your student loans, then you do better investing and taking the money and then paying off your loan. There, I get his idea, which is that simplicity. If you're telling millions of people what to do, then the simplest way to explain things is to say, pay your debt off first, because you will have more to invest if you pay your debts off. But mathematically, and for some people, that's not the case. And for
Mhm.
him to be coming from where he's coming from and telling people what he's telling them, I just needed to make sure that if it within my power, if I could tell anybody, yeah, he says good things, he also says trash, maybe think that through before you so my question for you was, what do you think about all of these different philosophies about
Yeah.
how to deal with it
So I am not paying off all my debt before I'm investing because I want my money growing
now, right
now.
now?
And the sooner you start, then the larger it's going to be when you're ready to retire or stop working. Because if and also, if you're making more money, let's say in a couple of years, let's say you reach your financial goals and you're like, okay, I paid off all my debt, or now I can invest more, then obviously that's going to change the situation. But let's say I continue to make the same amount of money that I'm
Right,
making right now, and I don't make any more money. I need to start as soon as possible so that I'm not working until I'm 85 and then still have to go get a part-time job after I retire from my full-time job. So, no, I don't, that's not how I live. I also think that it's dependent on where you are in your life, because there are some people that are ready to retire in a couple of years, and they are just not in a position to do that because they don't have enough in some type of investment account to cover them for the rest of their lives. So they really need to start focusing on building that money as much as possible before they retire from their job. So if your focus is I want to retire in 2 years, you need to start growing that money versus putting it all into paying off debt. Or paying off debt may be a good thing so that when you retire, you don't have to worry about that additional expense. But I
and
think,
so that's the nuance, right? Because it depends on what type of debt it is and what is
mhm,
it's for. You're going to need a place to live,
yep,
so paying that off, it sounds like a good idea in most cases. But and this is, I probably shouldn't say this live, but the student loan people can't take your degree back. They can't take it. It's yours.
they
They're not going
can't.
to come
Can they? I don't know this. I'm asking. Can they garnish your wages?
if they try hard enough. I mean, okay, we student loan people, I pay mine. But so the effort that they would have to go through to garnish would likely be related to your not paying at all.
Gotcha.
So if they're receiving payments, again, I pay all mine. Please don't come looking for me. But I really do prioritize debt in terms of what can they take back,
Hmm.
and in terms of what is going to enable me to go to work to earn the money.
Right.
So student loan will never be on the top of my list, like never, ever, 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 because they can't take it back, and it doesn't stop me from going to earn my money. Um, but that's just me. Now, will it ruin my credit if I don't pay them? Absolutely. It's the same thing with the credit cards and everything else. Will it destroy some of the credit that you have? Absolutely. But there are times in your life where that's not the most important thing happening. Eating and having a
Hmm.
roof over your head and a car to drive may be more important than worrying about your credit, particularly if you're in a situation. And that's why when I was talking about the lady who was going through bankruptcy, I'm trying to figure out what happened. Because
Right.
if there's a situation, you can work through situations. You might ruin your credit for 5 or 6 years. Were you planning to buy a house in those 5 or 6 years? Probably not. So with the credit. But like if you have a pattern of bad behavior, then I don't know. I probably can't give you advice that's going to change your pattern. Right. But your choices, they could be changed.
Mm-hmm. And I actually know someone who has filed bankruptcy twice. So, you know, that shows right there.
There's a pattern.
There's a pattern of
and
that.
There's a choice that you're continually making.
Mm-hmm. So, and my thing is, if there's no real consequences to that, it's easy to say like, oh, that's all right, I'll just file bankruptcy again. Just like some people will repair their credit or restore their credit and then get right back in the same predicament again, because
and that goes to what you said, like you got to work on what's triggering you, because something's happening and it has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with how much you're making. It has very little to do with what you're spending. There's something wrong that you haven't dealt with.
Yes. So it's important that we address those things.
It is.
But yeah, so going back to the paying off debt and then investing, because it all depends on each person's situation. But for me, I am, as much as I can invest now and still pay off debt and reach and take care of all my other goals, I'm going to do it all at the same time. Because I know my debt will get paid off, even if I just pay it off based on my creditor's plan. Yeah, I'll have my car paid off in 3 years. I'll have my mortgage paid off in 25 years, if that's what I want to do. But I know that I'm capable of paying extra if I want to, but that's not what I'm focused on right now. So,
and that goes back to making a prioritized plan. Like when you've decided what your plan is, it may be for some to pay off their houses. It may be for others to make sure they're maxing out whatever retirement offerings that their job has. It may be for some to pay for children to go to college or to start a business. Like if you haven't decided what your top priority is, then you'll just start throwing money at things and with no end goal, with no plan. Yes. And that goes for investing too, right? So I'm 42 years old. I won't need my retirement money for 20 years or more. So my investing right now is super risky. Like I'm all out here in these mutual fund streets. Okay. I'm out in these market streets. Okay. Because I have 20 years until I need that money. But if you're closer to that, then you should be planning for that what you need it for right now. You've got 5 years, your investments should be less risky. If you got 5 years, you should not be talking about crypto at all. But I digress. I digress. But it goes for investing too, right? So your priorities, your investments should look like your priorities for now and for the future. And that's where you should be leveraging or using your investments to aim towards.
Right. Yeah, it does make sense. It does make sense. So it really is like creating that business plan, but also creating that life plan. So there has to be a plan for everything that we're doing, even if it's like something that's not so set in stone, right? Like, but it still has to be something that's driving you to work towards something, or, because if not, you're just going to be going in circles. Like you said, what am I doing this for? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Right now, I have a 15-year-old, well, she'll be 15 in a couple of weeks, who's going to want a car, right? So my immediate plan is to find a car. If she sees this is not true, but to find a car that she can have and that I can buy for her and pay cash, because that's what I want to do. So I'm not going to have the money that I'm going to use for that will not be in something risky, because I'm going to need it in a year and a half or so. And then I can be a little more risky with the cash we have on hand, because the next thing for it is her going to college and paying for that, and however that works out. And then after that, she on her own, so I can do what I want to do. But like you have to have end goals. You have to have goal posts for yourself and for your money and for your investments so that you're doing those things in order. Otherwise, like you said, you're spinning your wheels,
Mhm.
particularly with investments. Like you cannot just be throwing darts at the wall. It's
Right.
just not, it's not it.
It's not gonna work.
It's not gonna work. Okay, so what else do you need the people to know? Yes,
The people.
the people. What
What
do
do
you
I
need the
need
people to
the people
know?
to know? Um, I believe that it's important that we really start educating ourselves on money. And don't think that anything is too complicated or it's only for certain people and not for you because you've always been in this place, so you don't think you're ever going to need to learn that stuff. You never know where you are going to be or who you're going to be stuck in the elevator with. And if you have something that you can talk to them about or connect with them, that might be an opportunity to get you in a room with some people that can educate you and take your life to the next level.
That's
Um,
a good point.
or you can just be using that information to educate yourself and your family. Because it really drives me crazy when I don't know something and I'm like, I just want to know everything. I know it's not possible, but I like to know things because I just like to know. And it's something that you may not think is useful, but it could be like a month or two from now. You're like, oh my gosh, I remember I learned this and now I can apply it because you've been exposed to it. Where if you've never been exposed to it or even was curious enough to learn a little bit about it, then you could just be missing out on something that's super awesome.
So you could be
So
missing out, or you could be listening to Instagram posts and taking their advice. Like if you don't educate, just throwing that out there. If you don't educate yourself, like that's kind of the thing. Like I feel like some of this miseducation is coming from I saw an Instagram post and I didn't go research it. I didn't
Mhm.
go talk to anybody. I didn't even Google it to go find out. I didn't hire a coach to help me through it. I just went by what I saw on Instagram, or I went by, not that Instagram is bad because it is exposing us
Mhm.
to things, but you got to do some of your own thinking on this.
Yeah, I agree. I agree because I ain't doing nothing. Somebody tell me to do that until I look and see. Like, wait a minute, is that
Please look it up. Please
yeah?
look it up.
That's why I love a good policy and procedure.
Let me find out you're the one reading the policies and procedures.
Listen, when I send out emails, I'm copying and pasting from policy and procedure. So ain't nobody gonna say, "Well, Nisha said," and that wasn't okay.
Nishaya got the policies and she done screenshotted them, y'all. She done
Per
screen
Article 2.5.
per. Oh no. Oh, not per paragraph 6. No, no. Oh, y'all better get right because she gonna have them policies. Y'all better read. Y'all better read.
Listen.
I just want y'all to know who you're working with because she about to tell y'all what it says.
Yes. Listen, I am like so I love a good fact. Cause don't be telling me some craziness that's not true. Like I'm gonna go check it.
Not a good fact. She said, no, that's not true because I have it here. That's not true.
That is horrible. But I am so that way. So I don't
It
even care
is what it
about
is. It is what it is. Okay, so
yeah.
how do people get in touch with you? Just I want to get that out.
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Nisha Richardson, or She's the Budget Guru. So it's all together, but it's She's the Budget Guru. That's also my website, she'sthebudgetguru.com. I invite anyone who feels like I am stuck in my finances and I need some support, or I think I need some support. I invite you to book a financial wellness call. We just get real quick and dirty with it and see where you are, where you're trying to go, what's your goals. And if I'm the person that can support you, then I will offer you an opportunity to work with me at the end of the conversation. But yeah, that's where they can find me.
See, I was gonna bring it up on the screen, but my
Oh,
little thing. Oh, there we go. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. I did it. I'm so proud of me right
there you
now.
go.
I'm so proud of me right now. I'm impressed with myself. Um, so yeah, I dig what you're trying to do with the people. I likes that. That's
Listen, I am inspired by you as well, because investing has been a space that, I want to get into more. So I love what you are sharing with us, and the way you explain it, to where it's in ways that we can all understand it. Because that is something that I want to offer to my clients. So, there's always, which is always nice, that we are networking and talking to one another, because there is an opportunity for me to say, hey, Shanae can help you with this. This is not something that I'm an expert in. Or maybe you can come and do a master class.
Y'all
Once.
see how that's happening? Y'all see how if you are collaborating and not competing, things can just pop off. Y'all see that? Okay.
Exactly. And that is where my headspace is. So I have technically structured my program based on bringing people in like you to talk about their expertise. So I'm not just saying that to just say it, but that is truly how my program is set up. So you are someone that I really am like into what you are teaching, and I understand it. I like the way you teach it to other people, and I just love the fact that you're doing this, because it's just a subject that we all need to know more about. So
And I think
kudos
we
to
need to
you,
see
girl.
people looking like us and sounding like we sound, because we're a certain kind of way. Sound looking like we look and sounding like we sound, talking about things, because I get the feeling, I feel like people are making this be way complicated intentionally to
Mhm.
keep us out of it, to make us think it is so complicated. And that's women, that's Black people, that's young people, that's pretty much like there are things that try to make you more feel like it's more complicated than it actually is. And I really do want to make sure everybody understands that if you figured out how to type www dot anything, you can do this. Like really, it's okay. And despite people making you think that you have to have hundreds of years of knowledge, it's not.
Mhm.
So I just want us
Okay.
to be super open about that.
That's
So
true.
we did it again. We did it again.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for coming around. Ooh, I've almost finished mine.
Well, good thing is only never mind.
Never mind, never mind. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. This was fun. We definitely have to do it again.
We will do it again. I'll see you soon.
All right, later.
Bye.